Hey there, today we're installing the roof decking on this 4x6 lean-to shed. This roof decking is gonna have radiant barrier, which means it's gonna keep the shed cooler in the summer months. And right after, I'm installing architecture shingle. That's so if you wanna match the look of the house to your shed. And also if you want something a little nicer and more durable. The roof decking that I'm installing is the LPTech Shield. It comes standard in a 4x8 sheet. There are a few things to consider before installing this. One, make sure that the OSB is not wet or holding any moisture, otherwise it could damage over time. Two is try not to damage the paper shield as you install this. The nice thing about the way we framed this shed is that we created a box where we can just drop in the OSB and it's not gonna slide out. To attach the OSB sheet to the roof rafters, I'm using inch and 5/8 deck mate screws. That is because we purchased these to install the floor, and in order to save money, we're using the remaining screws to install the roof panels. To secure the panel, I'm driving a screw every 6 inches on the outside rafters. The rafters that are on the inside, I'm spacing the screws every 12 inches. And after I installed the first full sheet, I ended up with a strip of about 12 inches wide. And whenever joining two sheets like this, you want to leave 1/8 of an inch spacing between each one of them. What I like to do is grab a few washers and a tape measurement and figure out how many washers do I need to get to my 1/8 of an inch spacing. In my case, I only need 2 washers. Then I use these 2 washers as a spacer for whenever installing the OSB on the roof. They do make clips for this specific application. However, for a shed this small, it's not worth buying the clips and you can save the money. Now this radiant barrier OSB, it's only a few extra bucks and it's well worth the money, because what happens is the sun will hit the top of the shed, and because of the barrier it's going to reflect out. That's going to make your shed much cooler in the summer months. Next is to install the roof paper or underlayment onto the roof. Some shed builders will skip this, but I believe it's such an expensive investment that I recommend. I prefer to pre-cut the paper on the ground and then bring it up to the roof. This is much easier and lighter to work with. To install the paper, I'm using these plastic cap nails, specific for this application. Some people may suggest that you use staples, but I do not recommend it. Using staples may void the warranty on the paper, and also it can rip the underlayment. Next, I'm going to be installing the drip edge on the sides and front of the shed. The drip edge can be easily cut with the thin snips. They do make special cutter for this, but it's not worth it purchasing one just for this project. The drip edge that goes on the bottom of the shed needs to go underneath the underlayment. Then you secure the drip edge to the edge of the roof with 1.25" roofing nails. It's the same nails you're gonna be using for the roofing shingles. I like to add a nail every 12 inches or so along the drip edge. And the drip edge that goes on the side should be installed on top of the underlayment. On one of the ends, I put the drip edge against the fascia, mark my angle, and then I cut it with a thin snip. And the other end, I like to notch the drip edge and fold it in with the hammer. Then place one nail on top of both drip edges, securing them in place.
Now I need to install a starting strip for the roofing shingles. I really like this peel and stick starting strip from GAF. You simply cut the starting strip to the length you need, peel the back of it, and stick it right to the edge of the roof. And on the corners, I cut a 45-degree on the top starting strip. That way we have a continuous bead of adhesive around the edges. And then I make sure to add a nail every 12 inches, securing the starter strip to the roof. Now it's time to install the actual shingles. I'm going to be using the GAF Timberline Architecture Shingle. I pick a corner to start off and I place a full shingle and I make sure that it's square with the edges. I drive 4 nails attaching the shingle to the roof. Then I place a second shingle on top of the first one and I staggered by 6 inches. Same idea here, I drive 4 nails securing the shingle to the roof. And with a utility knife, I cut the excess off the shingles. I repeat the same process moving upwards, staggering the shingles by 6 inches and securing to the roof with roofing nails. Few things I want to mention here. Make sure you buy a set of roofing utility blades. They are super handy and cuts roofing shingles much easier than a standard utility blade. And then the second thing is when you're driving the nails on this roof, make sure not to drive too close to the edge, otherwise you're gonna nail it through the drip edge. Once you have the shingles stack complete, staggered every 6 inches, you can move on to installing the remaining full units of shingles. Notice that there are lines on the underlayment. I recommend using those to make sure that the rows of shingles are straight across the roof. And when you get towards the end of the roof, you can either cut the shingles as you install them or do what I do, install everything first and cut the ends later.
Now you may wonder why people would choose an architecture shingle over a 3-tab shingle for the shed. There are a few options why you go that route. One, it's the looks. I'll say if you want your shed to look similar to your house, you use the same type of shingles. But the most important thing here is that the architecture shingle has a better construction. It's gonna last longer, has a better warranty. And you can see that by the thickness. An architecture shingle, it's thicker than the 3-tab. And if you look on the back, the architecture shingle has 2 strips of adhesive. Meanwhile, the 3-tab shingle has only 1 in the center. This is gonna make the shingle sustain higher winds. So if you live in a zone where there's tendency of hurricane or storms, you definitely wanna go the route of an architecture shingle.
Once you finish your first 6 rows of shingle, you move on to the next set. Most likely your last roll of shingles would need to be cut off. And in this case, you cut the shingles off and you place them on the roof. Then you drive a set of nails as high as you can to the roof. Then I take a drip edge and I run 2 parallel beads of roof silicone all the way down. And I place this drip edge covering the nails on top of the roof. I drive a nail on the beginning and end of the drip edge, plus few others every 2 feet. And then I cover the nail heads with more roof silicone.
A black drip edge blends very well with the roof. If you can't find one, feel free to use a white one or even a metal one and then just spray paint later on. And for your reference, on the description, there's a link to a shopping cart with all the materials we use today. That saves you hours at the store. Also on the same description, there are plans that show you step by step on how to build this very shed, with all the dimensions of all the lumbers and all the cuts included. Check that out or visit us at everydayshed.com. And after I'm finishing cutting this drip edge, I'm gonna go ahead and build the door next. If you wanna check that out, there's a video for you right here. If you wanna check out everything from beginning to end, how to build this shed, there's a video for you right here. I hope you learned something in this video and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.